Hi chaps, Simo P here from Beard, Biceps and of course and always Batchat. Today's video is the final video in the series of Road to Tier 10, the M48 Patton. I realised the other day going through my YouTube videos I hadn't posted one to show getting the Tier 10. So I thought, right, let's finish that off, let's get one up. So obviously we're in the M48 Patton here, the Tier 10 American tank on Mountain Pass. So before talking about the gameplay, let me talk a little bit about the line and the M48 Patton. So the Patton line is generally a jack of all trades line. Some people don't like it because it doesn't excel at anything until tier 9/tier 10, which is view range and the gun's quite good. And some people love it because it's useful in almost every situation. Now for me, when I consider a good tank, there's, for my playstyle, there's four things that I look for, and I need at least two of these things. And the first thing is the gun, and by that I mean the hard stats, so the alpha, the DPM, the reload. The second thing is mobility, the third thing is view range, and the fourth thing is armor. Generally I prefer my tanks with really good guns, longer view range. Armor I'm not too fussed about, just because premium rounds are fairly I use quite frequently at the minute, so armor doesn't particularly bother me. So the M48 Patton line fulfilled a lot of my criteria. The line generally has very good view range. The gun, especially on the M48 Patton, is absolutely savage. But the view range on this tank is the best in the game, and it's got great DPM. I suppose its most immediate comparison to the tanks that I have in the videos that you would have seen on my channel is the Centurion Action X. Now this isn't the Centurion Action X, and unfortunately this won't replace my love for the Centurion Action X, but that doesn't mean this isn't a good tank. As I said before, the base view range on this tank is the highest in the game. It's 420 meters, which is absolutely insane. You don't need to run optics, you can run chocolate vents and really squeeze out every last little bit of DPM on this tank. The gun depression is really good on this tank as well for a tier 10, 9 degrees of gun depression. Now with the Centurion Action X, obviously at full depression your turret armor becomes very, very good. Not the case for this tank. The armor is, it might bounce, but don't rely on it to bounce. The armor is absolutely, well, it's not terrible. It's just not good. It's just not going to stand up to sitting out in the open like say an E5, an E100, or a mouse. So don't rely on your armor because it ain't going to help you. Now the top gun on this is actually better than the top gun of the E5, believe it or not. It's 268mm of penetration. You're reloading in just under 7 seconds, and you're doing 390 alpha damage. So the gun on it is really, really savage. It's really comparable actually to the Centurion Action X's gun, minus the great hesh rounds. But it's it's what I look for. Really, really savage gun. And the accuracy on this thing on the move is absolutely insane. The aim time's really good. The accuracy itself is 0.38 or 0.36, but its soft stats with the traverse and the bloom is really, really good. So you should never sort of shy away from holding right bumper and right trigger and pressing them very quickly, because 9 times out of 10 you are going to hit what you are aiming at. Now, some of the problems, well, I say problems, some of the downsides of the M48 Patton is the top speed. It's not quick. It can get to the top speed fairly quickly, but it's about 45 kilometers per hour. It's a big tank. This is bigger than the E5, which is problematic because there is obviously RT at tier 10, tier 9 that can one-hit you / take off 3/4 of your hit points. Now, an interesting thing about that, you're gonna judge me, guys. I only learnt this recently. When Sixth Sense goes off, as you see in here, it just means you've been spotted. When Detected goes off, it means someone is aiming at you. Now, I only learnt this week, and this has been incredibly helpful to survive artillery. So I've been less worried about being spotted until I see Detected on. When I see Detected on, I know someone's aiming at me and that it's time to scoot. Now, the other problem is, as you can see on the right-hand side of that turret, is that giant tumour. It is a massive weak point, pretty much. HE rounds are going to go through that bloody thing. So if you're trying to get a hold down, make sure you cover the right hand side of the turret. The frontal half of the turret is, well, no, the frontal half of the hull is actually made up of an ammo rack, which means it is absolutely painful when someone is shooting your hull. So the way you want to play this tank, or that I found play this tank so far, is to utilise that view range as much as possible. Your armour can't be relied upon, but what tool do you have in your toolbox with the M48 Patton that can save you from taking damage, and that's view range. So sit back as much as possible, use your view range, you're going to outspot anyone else. Maybe invest in permanent camo. I know I've done the camo on this tank. Now the idea behind that is I spot them before they spot me, and generally when you spot a player in World of Tanks and put a shell into them, they stop. They don't keep advancing. If they kept advancing, they'd spot you. The general player on World of Tanks will stop what they're doing, look for cover as close as possible, leaving you out of their view range undetected as you continue pouring fire into them. So it's a good tank. It meets a lot of my criteria. I feel the Action X is better, and that's just because of the mobility, the turret armor, and you get a little bit more gun depression, I think, as well. So for me, it's it's a slightly better tank. But overall, the line itself has been really interesting to grind. I'm dead, of course I am. The only real downside I found was when I unlocked the M48 Patton, you still have to get 2 more packages to elite the tank, and by elite a tank I mean get the top gun. So that was a bit of a downer, but apart from that, it wasn't a particularly painful grind. Potentially not a tank I'd recommend for everyone, but if you're someone who enjoys a versatile tank, that tank line is really good. Certain things on that line are really good. So the T20, the Easy 8, the Super Persian, obviously an absolutely fantastic tank. Even the T9 Patton, really good tank, was averaging 3,000 to 4,000 damage per game on that bad boy. So it is a really good line. Just be very aware of its limitations, which is obviously the armor, and just be aware to play around that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying the content. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next time, chat.